the Chagim of the Rosh Hashanah, and tonight we're going to delve into the depth of dreams according to our sages, according to Chazal. It's a very big topic, and obviously we're not going to cover it all in the time that we've got, but what the aim of tonight is just to open up our minds, and by the end of tonight you're going to come out with a deeper understanding of dreams, hopefully, as well as some of the great tikkunim, some of the great advice that Chazal, that our rabbis have given us when it comes to dreams, certain types of dreams. So, has anyone ever dreamt of an elephant?
Probably.
Anyone dreamt of an elephant? Well, if you had dreamt of an elephant, then it would mean, according to the Gemara, according to the Talmud, that wonders are coming your way. That means great things. Why is that? Why does the Gemara, why does the Talmud tell us if I dream of an elephant that wonders are coming my way? I mean, really? Is that what we believe in 2017? You know, you're going to go to sleep, everyone, tonight. You're going to see a big fat elephant with a big spoon, and it's going to be flooding water out into your face. And then you're going to remember this great shiur and you're going to say, wonders are coming to my way. What is the depth behind it? So we're going to take a journey into the world of dreams. And we're going to understand what they're about, where do they originate, and what does the Torah say about them. Is it true that dreams can really predict the future? Are they hearsay? And how do we combat bad dreams? I'm going to start with a famous story that occurred in the days of Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld was a great rabbi. He was like the chief rabbi of Jerusalem 90 years ago, roughly. And he was a great, great sage. And he relates the following story in Pressburg, Europe. There was a lady, and she was married, had a wonderful husband. It's a true story, and she had 2 daughters. Unfortunately, times in Europe were difficult, and the father became ill and eventually passes away. Now, many of you know, Lo Aleinu, when a person passes away, there's a mitzvah to say Kaddish, to say the mourner's prayer. And this is the custom for the men to go to the synagogue and to say it, but this lady didn't have any boys. Not only did she not have any boys, this person who passed away didn't have anybody in any other family. He didn't have brothers or anybody else that was able to say Kaddish. So she went to the local big yeshiva of Pressburg, and she said that she would like to donate some money to the yeshiva in order that somebody can say for her husband for a whole year Kaddish. She goes, she says, how much? Whatever it takes. And the rabbi said, but you're an almanah, you're a widow. It's going to be difficult. You need every penny that you can get. God has blessed me. I have money at the moment. I want to do this in honor of my husband. She goes ahead and she gives, and for a whole year somebody is saying Kaddish in the synagogue for her husband. 1 year passes away and the yahrzeit comes, the year arrives, and the Kaddish ends after the year. And she is there, and she comes to the yeshiva and she says to the rabbi, Rabbi, I feel good about what I've done. I have an idea. And she instigates this idea. And she says, listen, the year is finished and there's no more Kaddish to say. But I want to give the ability, whoever is in this town that passes away and that nobody really knows, they're Jewish, they're not Jewish, whatever, I want to pay for a bachur, for a man or whoever it is to say Kaddish during the whole year for any Jew that passes away and that has not had anyone to say Kaddish for. And she puts a sum of money on the table and she pays that money. And she's paying that money for years. Time goes on and it gets more and more financially difficult for an orphan with 2 girls growing up. In those days, it's very difficult to support. And she's doing amazing. But eventually, the money is going dry. And now, she needs to marry off her 2 daughters. And in the olden days, you need to marry off a daughter with dowry, with some money, and it becomes very difficult. Shidduchim are very Very, very difficult. And she finds herself really nearly begging for money. She's still giving as much as she can for this Kaddish, but on the other hand, she's just about got enough to fend for her house and food, but she doesn't have any money for dowry, and she needs to collect for her 2 daughters. So she goes, and one day she's praying very, very hard, and another day, and one day she's walking outside the Presburg yeshiva, and an old man comes up to her, and he sees her very distressed, and he says to her, "Madam, is there anything I can do?" And she says, leave me alone. You can't really help me. It's very difficult. Please. And he insists, and eventually he gets out of her what the problem is. And she says, "I have 2 daughters, and I don't have enough money to marry them off." And he says to her, "How much do you need?" And she says, "It doesn't matter. What do you care? How much do you need?" He tells her a sum. She tells him a sum. He gets out a check or a note, bank note of the olden days, and he writes on it, and he gives it to her with the sum. And he says, "Before I give it to you, I need you to go into the yeshiva and get 2 bachurim, 2 guys to come outside and to witness this, that I'm signing it, because it's a big sum of money over here." She runs into the yeshiva, she gets 2 people, they come out, they witness that he's giving it, he's the man, he's writing his name, he's writing everything, and he gives it to her. She has now been answered from Shemayim. She goes the next morning to the bank, the local bank, and she's ecstatic. She comes with a massive check. She's going to go to the bank manager straight. They pass it from one person to the other person, and there she is. She's invited in to see the manager. She comes into the manager and she puts the check down. And the manager looks at the check, and the manager looks at her, and within a second the manager faints. On the floor, he's out. And she's screaming, she's shouting, "Help, help, I don't know what's happened." And they're coming, they revive him. And he looks again, and he feels very weak again. Eventually, after about 20 minutes, he comes to his senses, and he says, Who's this man over here?" She says, this is his name, and these are the witnesses, and this is the person that came to me. He said, "Can you describe how he looks?" And she describes, this is an old man, he's got a certain type of hairstyle, a little bit of beard over here, and he's this height, bit fat. So then he goes and he looks, and he turns around a picture, and he says, "Is that the same person?" And she said, "Yes, exactly, it was him." Now she's impressed, it's in his office. And again he feels very, very weak. He says, "I can't believe it." And he says, "I want to tell you something. That person is my father." But it gets worse. He's no longer alive. And yesterday, he came to me in a dream. You see, I lost touch with my father. And since then, I've gone on with my life, I've become an academic, I've gone into bank, and I've married out. I haven't really married into the Jewish faith. I married somebody that's not Jewish, and last night I had a dream. And my father came to me in the dream, and he says to me in the dream, "Why have you not said Kaddish for me? I passed away, and you didn't say Kaddish." And I said, "Kaddish, Jewish, Judaism, this and the other," and I went back to sleep. And again he came to me and he said, "Why have you not said Kaddish for me? I'm going to send you somebody that has said Kaddish for me. Tomorrow you're going to see that somebody." I said, "Oh, please do me a favor." And again and again and again he kept on dreaming it. And then here, this morning you come to the bank and you've got this, and I'm flabbergasted. Now Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld is telling this story. And you know what he says? He says, "Do you know how I know this story is true? Because I was one of those bachurim. I was one of those witnesses that she came into the yeshiva to call out and to see this person." The power of dreams and the power that are beyond the mystical sides and these kind of ideas that sometimes we figure they are real, they're not real. It's very difficult, but when you hear these stories, then it kind of puts you onto a different level. So there are always going to be those that are for the idea that dreams can tell the future, that dreams mean things, but you're always going to have people that say, no, they don't. They don't mean anything. It's a joke. It's just hearsay. So let's discuss for a moment the people that say they don't believe in dreams. There are different theories. You know, there was an email scam. This is good for the business-minded people out there. Very famous email scam when emails first came out. And somebody sends out, let's say, 100,000 emails. Now imagine, you all over here, everybody here that's here on the left side received an email from me saying, "Dear Simon, I hope you are well. I would like to introduce you to myself. I'm a top financial advisor. We advise for Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, and I've got an amazing tip for you to invest and become a millionaire. They're going to go up within a month, I guarantee you." Then I turn my emails and I send 100,000 personal emails like that, and then I send another 100,000 personal emails. I say, "Dear Rachel, I hope you're well. I'm a financial advisor. If you don't believe me, check out Tesco. They're going down." So you got the 100,000 here, the 100,000 there. Tesco actually go down. What can you do? So they don't believe in me, but no one cares because now you guys are hooked on me. So now I go again, and out of this 100,000, I say to 50,000, "Right, let me introduce you to Specsavers optician. They're going to go up and they're going to go down. 50,000 up, 50,000 down." And of course they go down because they got good competition. And now you're double hooked because you can see that it's going somewhere. And eventually it goes on and on and on and on until I get you to deliver me your money, and in faith think, "Wow, this guy's a genius. He's got 5 out of 5. I'm sure he's going to get the next one correct as well." Perhaps dreams are like that. Perhaps it's it's all a lottery. It happens to be that, you know what, you dreamt that tomorrow you're going to meet Sarah in Kosher King, and guess what? You met her in Kosher King, or you dreamt that your cousin in Canada is pregnant, and she happens to be pregnant. Sometimes you dream she isn't pregnant, sometimes you dream she is pregnant, and now you dreamt that she is. Guess what? Let's just believe in dreams. There is another theory, Hobson and Macaulay. They just say it's a random expression of the brain cells, and they have no meanings. That's the famous idea. There's no meaning. It's a random expression, brain cells, no meanings. Freud said that through dreams you can understand the inside of a person, your inner self. And he said the interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. You have a conscious mind and you have an unconscious mind. And when you go to sleep, so you're able to understand much more about yourself. That is what the dream is telling you, according to Freud. However, it definitely doesn't predict the future, according to him. In 1932, there was a big military, don't remember if he was a sergeant, captain, and he had, by the name of Charles Augustus Lindenberg. He had a son that was roughly about 20 months old, New York. Kidnapped, 1932. He left him, I think, between 10 and 12 in the night. He came out, he was big in the army, he comes back, his son is gone. And there was a big, this is known as one of the biggest trials in the US history, and it set a precedent for kidnapping and transferring to different states. And what happened is that two psychologists, we're going to send to the newspaper a big ad saying, if you had a dream last night about Charles or child, about where he is, please send in, because we'd like to know. They received 1,300 roughly responses. Out of the 1,300 responses, only 5% said that the baby had died. They determined afterwards that the baby was definitely dead at the time. Out of those, only 4 said it was buried in a grounds behind trees, which is exactly where they found the body. So out of 1,200 dreams, you got 4 that are making sense, but you've got plenty of others that are not necessarily making sense. So perhaps dreams doesn't mean anything. These are the arguments, plus many more, that are against the idea nowadays that we have of the meaning and the deeper meaning and the ability for dreams to predict. And of course you have one more, which is much more prevalent nowadays, and that's the continuity theory. We spoke earlier about the elephant. Right now you go, you watch a movie, you go to the theater, you see a play, you check something out on your phone. What are you going to be thinking about that night? You're going to be thinking about the guy that was flying through and Wonder Woman and Superman and Spider-Man and whoever's running around, yeah? And you're going to go to sleep thinking, oh, it's a love story and everything's going great. It was difficult in the beginning, then there was love, and then it got a bit more difficult, and then at the end, everything they lived happily ever after. This is what you're going to be thinking of, and it's going to be resting with you as you go to sleep nicely on the pillow. And then you're going to start to think, hold on a second, I won $1 million, £1 million because the guy in the film. There's a continuity theory. Or perhaps you had an exciting day. Perhaps you went skiing. And it's the adrenaline, and then you're dreaming about skiing in the night. Yeah? Or you're dreaming about how much fun in the mountains and you're flying. So these are the theories. Now let's delve into the Jewish view. Continuity. There is a Gemara that says there's one of 3 show that a dream is true. One of the things is brought down is if you have a dream early in the morning. Meaning you go to sleep at 11 o'clock, you wake up at 6:30, at around 5:30, 6, you have this dream. So just before you wake up, you're having this dream. Says the Gemara, it's true. It's not a blanket statement, I don't think, but it's a heavy statement. Says the Maharsha, why? Because you went to sleep dreaming about the skiing trip and the adrenaline and the birds and everything else, but that's long gone, that's in the beginning, you've already thought about that. But as you're coming to the morning, your mind is already relaxing, and now you're thinking about what's going to happen in the future. Now is a time when you can predict, now is a time that something's going to happen. That's first thing. Rabbeinu Bachya says, and this is a very interesting idea, that dreams are affected by what you eat. Okay? That means you have certain types of foods, so they'll cause certain type of gases, certain kind of chemicals, certain kinds of reaction, and that's going to affect the dreams that you're going to be having. Now the Vilna Gaon, one of the genius of the previous generation, brings a Gemara. It's a fascinating Gemara. The Gemara says the following. Gemara in Shabbat 25 says, Rav Yossi said, who is a rich person? So everybody here knows. Ezehu Ashir? Hasameach Bechelko. Who's happy? One who's happy with what they've got. Are you ready for the next explanation, which you're going to now remember for the rest of your life? Shabbat 25. Who's happy? Says Rav Yossi, one who has a toilet nearby. Obviously, it means a person who's got a toilet near where they're sleeping. You sleep days. They used to sleep. And where was the toilet? It wasn't inside the house, it was outside. Did you know that? Here, even in Golders Green, many of the houses, and I visited them when I was younger, they had a toilet outside the house. You had to go out to get to the toilet. In the olden days, they wouldn't go out. Obviously, the sewage system, etc. says, Rav Yossi, you want to be happy? Have a bathroom that's near you. Okay? On a simple level, we understand what he means. He means that it's much easier if you've got, then you don't have to walk a mile to go to the toilet every time you go. How blessed is our generation in 2017, we don't even think about it. But there's a deeper understanding, says the Vilna Gaon. Everybody travels the world. You might travel the world physically, you might travel the world on your phone, you might travel the world speaking to people. Everybody's traveling the world, and you're getting a lot of information all the time. Influx of information coming to you. You know who's rich? Somebody who's able to decipher from all this massive information to get rid of all the junk. That's a rich person, says the Vilna Gaon. That's what it means if you have a toilet nearby. It means you focus on what's really important in life. How many people here receiving thousands of junk mails and junk texts and this, that, the other, and you just leave me alone. Plenty of others that you don't even realize, that you think, I'm interested, but it's a waste of time, and you get carried away and drawn into different chevrot, as they call it, drawn into this make and this shopping, this one, and follow that one, and follow this one, and in the end it adds up to a clockage in you. So that is a happy person. When a person dreams, so that is a kind of way, says the Vilna Gaon, of anything, and coming, perhaps your inner conscious is coming out. And it's very interesting because the actual word chalom can come from the idea of choli, or idea of somebody that's sick, somebody that's getting rid of the sickness, getting rid of the waste. Chalom also can come. Now, up to now we've talked about the continuity idea, we've talked about the Bach that says it's talking about your food, we talked about the Vilna Gaon that dreams are a way of taking out. And this is really an interesting idea based on Kabbalah. Rizal brings in the beginning of the Shara Gilgulim, and it's also brought in Derech Hashem, which is written by Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. Who is the real person? Ha'adam ha'amiti. The real person, hu haruchaniyut asher betoch haguf. The real you is the ruchaniyut, is the spirituality that hovers inside your body. That is the real you. So what happens? Everybody here is made of different substance. Our bodies are the same, but our neshamot, our souls are different. Our bodies are also different physically. But the neshamot, just like your bodies are different, your neshamot also glowing differently. Now a neshama, a soul, has got different compartments. It's just like you have an onion, where you take away one layer and another layer and another layer and another layer. The soul has also got different compartments. You have a nefesh, a ruach, neshama, chaya, yichida. The nefesh is the animalistic part of your soul. That is the closest part of your soul that is connected to your body. It's spiritual, but it is that layer that is connected to the physical. The ruach is your spirit, if you like, connected more to the speech, and your neshama is rested in the higher worlds, connected to your imagination. When a person goes to sleep, we say the following words. Every night, Jews around the world when we go to sleep, we Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, so that we sleep with the words of Torah. We sleep knowing that we've said God is one, knowing that we've shared it with all of Am Yisrael. That's the Shema. At the end of Kriyat Shema, Sha'al Amita, this Kriyat Shema, we say the following words. Beyadacha afkid ruchi. In your hands, God, I am depositing my ruach, my soul. Beyadacha afkid ruchi. Padite oti Hashem kel emet. What does that mean? We are depositing our soul to God. And here within lies a very big key to solving of dreams. Lower levels of your soul. There's a nefesh, number one. Ruach, neshama. Note, we didn't say to God, Beyadacha afkid nafshi. I am depositing my nefesh with you, God. We said, Beyadacha afkid ruchi. My ruach is going to you. What we mean is, ruach and above is now deposited with you, God Almighty. But my nefesh is staying here. And I'll explain. You're made of a guf and a neshama, a guf and a soul. A body. When you get tired, you're very tired. What's getting tired? Your body or your soul? Body? Are you sure? So this table has been here probably for about 10, 15 years, hasn't really moved. I mean, it moves from time to time. But I don't think it's very tired. I wouldn't know. But your your body is a body. Yes, you're getting tired, but you should know your soul also gets tired. A soul can also get tired. Just like your body needs recharging, your soul also needs recharging. Just like your body needs to recharge the batteries and to get back into, your soul also does. Now when a person goes to sleep, their neshama and their ruach and that part of the soul goes up to the higher worlds. And it's getting reconnected and recharged. It's like you're charging it into the electric voltage sign over there, so that in the morning you're going to wake up and your neshama is going to be recharged. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam. Shechazata binishmati b'chem l'rabbai emunatecha. We say in the morning, thank you for bringing back my neshama. Thank you for bringing it back recharged. We're now ready. And the nefesh part is staying here. So there's a connection. There's a connection. Just like it comes to anything that's binary when it comes to computers. So it's written on binary, ones and zeros, right? So first you're going to send the message out. It's going to be transformed into a different language. It's going to get to there, going to be retransformed, going to come back, backwards and forwards. That's how it's working with your neshama. You're going up to the higher worlds, but your body can't go there because your body is physical. When your neshama, that can reach up there. So this is what's going on in the higher worlds. And we're getting recharged. Now once you're up there with your neshama's up there, according to Kabbalah, and it's mixing, and it's seeing things that are very, very high voltage. It's mixing with perhaps other neshamot. It's mixing, it's getting close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, certain messages. And it's at that time that you could be having your dream. And again, it's getting like a computer that's getting crypted and backwards and forwards. The messages are going there, something's happening over there, and then it's coming back. The question is, are you able to grasp everything that's coming towards you and to translate it into the correct way? And that's the time when you can hear from other neshamot, from malachim, messages from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, there seems to be a contradiction within Chachamim, our rabbis. In one place, in the prophet Zechariah, it says, "V'chalamot shav yidaber." Don't believe in dreams are null. They're not speaking, they're meaningless. But in another Gemara, the Gemara says there was a king who asked Shmuel, He said, you guys are very clever. Actually, there's another support for the idea that dreams are not very good. The king comes to Shmuel and he says to Shmuel, you guys, you Jews are very clever. You're so clever, tell me what's going to happen. What am I going to dream about tonight? Now Shmuel's the rabbi. His king is coming up to him and telling him, what am I going to dream about tonight? He only wants one thing. He just wants me to get it wrong, and then he's going to imprison me or kill me or whatever it is. You know, I've got no way out of it. So he says to him, tonight you're going to have the most weirdest dream that you've ever had in your life. And now the king is looking at him, intrigued. And he says, you're going to be taken captive by the Romans. And they're going to tie you to a rechaim, to a mill, if you like. And this rechaim is going to be golden. And you're going to be pulling it. Just like an ox pulls the things, you're going to be pulling, and you're going to... And this whole golden structure. And he starts describing one after the other. And it's so weird. That night, the king dreamt exactly what Shmuel said. He comes to him in the morning, wow, you're so clever. But of course, what did Shmuel do? He used psychology. He told him something so weird. He got to his men, you're going to be captured by the Romans. That's my biggest fear. It's my biggest enemy, right? You tell Trump that you're going to be captured by the North Koreans. Are going to come to you and they take you and they'll tie you, and you're going to be with your golden sachet over here and backwards and forwards, and the whole world's going to be watching you live on CNN, your biggest enemy, you know, and everyone's going to make fun. He'll dream about it. That night, if you describe it backwards and forwards, and you're a big rabbi, a Kabbalist, somebody special, oh, so you're going to be fearing it. So here too, it seems that, okay, dreams are not real. There's another thing. There's a story about, and this is mentioned in Choshen Mishpat, in the Code of Law, the Jewish Code of Law. And also in the Gemara in Sanhedrin. It's a fascinating Gemara. It says, if a person has a dream, and it says, go to a certain place. Go to Brent Street, and just by Mr. Baker over there on the corner, you can see they're digging up over there. Go and dig up another 2 meters, and you're going to find £1 million. And this was money that that your father owes a certain individual. Your father died, it was money that your father owes a certain individual. So you go over there, you dig, because it's £1 million and it doesn't matter about the council for the moment. You pay them the fine. And you dig and you dig and you dig and you find £1 million. What is the halakha? Do you then need to give that £1 million? The dream said your father owes Reuven the money. Do you need to go and give Reuven the money or not? Unfortunately, Reuven doesn't have a say. The Gemara Paskins, no you don't. One part of the dream was true, the other part not necessarily. So we see that even in Chachamim, it seems there is a portion of the rabbis that say that dreams are not necessarily worthwhile. But then we see the whole Torah is full of dreams. Where do we see dreams in the Torah?
Yosef.
Yaakov, Yosef. Joseph has the dreams, right? Joseph has dreams about his brothers, the sheaves, and then who else dreams in very interesting after Yosef? Pharaoh, Paro. He's not even Jewish and he's having a dream and everybody's jumping and everybody's... And because of his dream, Joseph becomes who he is. Pharaoh, the butler, the baker has a dream. Everybody's having dreams. So we see that it makes sense. The rabbis also had dreams. There's a great rabbi called the Smag, Rav Moshe Mikutzi. He went to sleep one night and he had a dream, and in the dream they told him that he's supposed to make a sefer, he's supposed to write a book of 2 parts. He woke up the next morning, he was so inspired by this dream, he said, I have to write a book of 2 parts. What does it mean, a book of 2 parts? So he interpreted it, I'm going to be one of the first Rabbanim that's going to write a book of 2 parts of the Torah. the mitzvot aseh and the mitzvot lo ta'aseh. The positive mitzvot and the negative mitzvot. I'm going to write all 613 mitzvot. I'm going to go through the whole Torah and I'm going to list all 613 Torah mitzvot, and that inspired him to do it. So obviously, he took that dream pretty serious. So we have lekan ulekan. Rabotai, the Gemara says the following: when a person goes to sleep, it's 1/60th of death. When a person wants to know about, when a person chas v'shalom comes near a fire is 1/60th of hell. Shabbat is 1/60th of Olam Haba, of the next world. And a dream is 1/60th of Nevuah, prophecy. So now the Gemara could have chosen a different number perhaps. And then the Gemara and the Midrash adds on the following words: dreams are the buds of prophecy. The Gemara could have chosen 1/20th, 1/70th, 100th, 1/50th. Why does it choose 1/60th? In Judaism, if you have one drop of milk that goes into a pot of meat, we're not allowed to cook meat and milk together, and it comes into a kosher pot of meat, it's kosher meat and the kosher milk, and it goes into it, so now it makes the whole pot not kosher. Up to how much does it make it not kosher? 1/60th. The minute it's 1 in 60, if there's one drop but there's 60 against it of meat, and it falls in and it's been mixed and whatever have you, and you can't get it out, the pot is kosher, because we say 1 in 60 is batel, means it's nullified, it's as if it's nothing. One tiny bit more than a 60th, so it's 1.5 60th, whatever, then it's all non-kosher. So we see what the Gemara is saying is that we are on the bridge. We're just touching it, but we're not yet there. When we're dreaming, it's like touching prophecy, but we're not into prophecy, because we're still getting nullified by the 60th of all the other things that are going on around. So how do we know when we're getting the dream correct? How do we know when it means something and when it doesn't mean something? So the Abarbanel says, if you have a dream and it's all mixed up, you know, you start off in the Himalayas and then you end up skiing in Italy, and then you're sitting now in the sun, and this one's had a baby suddenly, and it's all mixed up, then forget it. But if there's a seder if there's an order to it, then it could be that it's a true dream. The Orchat Chaim says, if you are a person of truth, if you're a man or woman of truth, you're amiti, you're truthful, then it could be that God Almighty is sending you a dream that's truthful. Otherwise, Chalomot Shav Yidaber, when do dreams actually mean stuff? When they're sent to people that are truthful, that can interpret them truthfully, that know how to, these are kind of people that God is sending messages. But if you're haywire, not here, not there, it's not necessarily going to work. So the Gemara very interestingly says the following ideas. If you dream about a nose, anyone want to take an idea? You dream about a nose. What does it mean according to the Gemara? There you go. You see, big nose. So, right? But you're dreaming about the nose, and then the nose falls off. Says the Gemara. You know what it means? It means you're angry, but you've now calmed down. Why? Because in Hebrew, the word for nose is af, and af represents anger. If a person dreams that both their hands are cut off, is that a good dream or a bad dream?
I would say bad dream.
Bad dream, right?
It's good.
Huh?
I think it's good.
You think it's good? How can it be? Both hands got cut off. It's terrible. Right? Says the Gemara, it's a good dream. Why? How? It means you no longer need your hands for labor. You're going to become so wealthy, you don't need to utilize those hands anymore? What happens if jaws of your mouth, they fall off? Good or bad? What do you reckon? Good or bad? Good, all good. We've got to be very positive here tonight. Says the Gemara, you know what it means? People that hate you have gone away. The people that are yakketing, he's like this, she's like that, jaws fall off. They're no longer with us. In other words, they've gone away. If you dream about well, it represents peace. An elephant we spoke about before. We said it means wonders are coming your way because the word for an elephant is pil. Comes from the word pele. Comes from the word wonder. An olive represents wealth. Tearing of clothes. Tearing of clothes, which many of us can associate with not good things. Says the Gemara, it's a fantastic dream. It means all the gezerot, all the bad decrees against you have been torn up. Now I want you to follow what I just said, because I gave you a whole list of pretty daunting dreams over here. But every single one, like you said, Abel, has come out positive. How is that possible? So this is the next secret of dreams. You see, the Gemara says, everything goes after the interpretation of the dream. Hakol, holech, everything goes after the way the dream is interpreted. That means, if I were to come to somebody and say, my hands got cut off in a dream, and they say, terrible, your hands are going to get cut off, go quickly, protect yourself. They have now frightened me to bits. I told them a dream, they've given me no confidence whatsoever, they've just told me, it's the end of your, God forbid, right? That's the wrong interpretation. You need to go to a chacham who will give you the right interpretation. Why does everything go according to the interpretation of the dreams? Why is it? Paro is standing there and he says, I don't know. I just dreamt of 7 fat cows and 7 thin cows, and the thin cows are eating the fat cows and the sheaves, and I came to all the sorcerers of Egypt. Ve'en magid leParo. No one could tell Paro. What are you talking about? These guys were dream readers. This is as if you're going. These guys were much better than anyone you can find in London, in New York, and anybody online that will tell you, I'll read your dream, I'll give you anything. These guys were the dons. These were the kings. They knew everything. They told him, Pharaoh, you're going to have 7 fat daughters, you're going to have 7 thin daughters after them, you're going to have 7 this, 7 that, 7 this, 7 that. Comes Yosef, and he clicks them everything. The butler and the baker, they're having dreams. Comes Yosef and he interprets everything. Each time, it made sense to the person who had the dream. Paro was, I'm not easy with this guy's interpretation. It doesn't make sense to me. I kind of dreamt the interpretation myself, but I just forgot it. You have to go to the right person that interprets it. And at the core of it all is the following. At the core of everything is the following. God sends messages like we learned, like when you're up there. And the messages could be predictions. And if you're a person of truth, it could be even more stronger. But the predictions are coming, and now you need to know what to do. So you go to somebody, and they're going to interpret it. But why should their interpretation determine my life? Where's my free will? God's already determined in the dream that this is going to happen. And the answer is, it's up to you whether you want to receive their interpretation or not. That's where the free will is. And by you receiving their interpretation and saying, that's a great idea, that's good, I'm happy to choose that, that is your choice, that is your free will. And by you utilizing your free will at that particular moment, you are the one who's in charge of your own destiny. God Almighty creates Adam. Betzelem Elokim. He creates Adam and Eve in the shadow of God, with the exact form of God, and that's what it means. Just like God is a creator, everybody here is also a creator. The power of words. Have you noticed when I said an elephant in Hebrew is pil, pele, and af, a nose in Hebrew is af, comes from the word anger. Have you noticed how everything seems to be connected to the Hebrew language as well as the actual object? There's many different dimensions that we look at. We of course believe that Kadosh Baruch Hu, God Almighty, created the world with Lashon HaKodesh, through the special language of Hebrew. It's got a lot of powers, the language of Hebrew. There's a lot of intrinsic value into the letters, into the words. It's the language where Kishmo Ken Hu. Adam Arishon is called Adam. He's not just called Adam because Adam's a nice name. Yeah? Oh, the first man, let's call him Adam. Imagine nowadays when people got problems calling their children, what should we do? So we Google up the top 10 names in England, yeah? Okay, perhaps we'll call him this or that. Adam, it's a great name, yeah. Okay, call him Adam. Adam means Adam because Min ha'adamai, comes from the ground. Adam means Adam because Aleph and Dam. Aleph is God, one. Dam is blood. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes the godliness, your neshama, and sticks it together with the blood and forms an Adam. This is why it's very important when it comes to the dreams to understand what you're seeing isn't just an object. There's much more depth to it. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates Adam, and he says, you Adam and Eve, you're also creators. That means you have the ability to interpret the dreams and create and help people and influence people. You have the ability also to speak correctly about people. You can say a good word here, and you can give a career to a girl in Manchester, in France, in Paris, by giving a good word. You can make a shidduch. You can give somebody wealth, you can give somebody happiness with your words. You're also creators. So Rabotai, this is the idea that we have the for and the against, but at the end of the day, we understand that our neshama, when every night we're going to sleep, there is that connection to God Almighty. There is that connection. And there is the ability to bring back and to predict. And there's plenty of stories about how people go to sleep and I've heard it in our own family where people can go to sleep and wake up the next day. Okay, I dreamt that you're getting divorced. So what do you mean you're getting divorced? It means, okay, it means you're having a baby boy, right? Or it means you're having this, it means that. There's many different ideas. Well, how did you dream? You're driving over there. Why does it mean you're having a baby boy? Okay, there's many explanations. But right now, I just want to understand, what do we do when we have a bad dream? We said before, if a person has a dream by the morning, it could mean it's true. If a person has a dream, the Gemara says repeatedly, one after the other, 3 times, it could be bad. Dreams are so much in Jewish religion that if you have a bad dream, the Shulchan Aruch says you should fast. Fast, don't eat the next day. Don't eat. Make a nice fast. I like it. No? Okay, I'm worried. Guess what? You're allowed to fast on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Do we ever have a fast on Saturday? Huh? We just had one, right? Yom Kippur. Okay? Yom Kippur. Any other fast on Saturday? No. We have Tisha B'Av where our temple was destroyed, the first and the second. We have Shiva Asar B'Tammuz where they came into Yerushalayim and they breached the wall. We have Tzom Gedalia, Tanit Esther. We have Asara B'Tevet. Other fast, Shabbat not allowed. Okay. Yom Kippur is the only one. Person has a bad dream and it really got to them. Halacha, they're allowed to fast on Shabbat. Wow. That means it's pretty serious in halacha. Obviously they have to inquire with a proper rabbi and to understand what the dream meant and not just to go straight away into fast. But the idea is it's very, very serious. There's an idea of fasting. So this is called, the first way that we can rectify the dreams is to fast. And the rabbis say, you know why you're allowed to fast on Shabbat? Because that's your onek, that's your pleasure. I can't rest. This dream's really got to me that I can't rest. I need to fast. By fasting, that will make my Shabbat. Otherwise, I'm going to be worried about it till Sunday, and then I'll fast on Sunday. It's not good enough for me. The first weapon that we have against bad dreams is Kriyat Shema Lamita. every night. For thousands of years, the Jewish people have been saying the Shema before we go to sleep. The Shema is very, very powerful. It's made up of 248 words when said properly, connected to the 248 limbs in your body. We spoke about the depth. It's beautiful words that a person says before they go to sleep. We forgive anyone that has done bad to us before we go to sleep. I mean, how many people do you know that are not necessarily religious? What do you do when you go to sleep? Switch off the phone and sleep, right? What do I do? Well, the Jew goes to sleep and spends, before he switches on the phone, spends the next 3 or 4 minutes praying to God. What is the prayer? The prayer is, anyone that annoyed me, anyone that did bad against me, ben bedibu, ben b'maaseh, whether they did it, they mouthed me, they bad mouthed me, they did actively against me, I forgive them, wholeheartedly. I don't want to go to sleep with having grudge against anybody. So Hashem says, you don't want to go to sleep without having, I'm going to make sure that no one's got a grudge against you. We say the Shema, we show our allegiance to HaKadosh Baruch. Kriyat Shema Lamita is number 1. Number 2, Hatavat Chalom. There is this idea if you can come, it's at the back of the Sidurim. If you're really worried, get yourself a bedin, 3 people in front of them, and you tell them the dream and you nullify it, if you like, in front of a bedin. Number 3, Birkat Kohanim. You ever been to the synagogue here in England, outside of Israel, the Sephardim every day do Birkat Kohanim. In Israel, everyone does Birkat Kohanim, and it's a very powerful. We just had now the Chag Sukkot. There was thousands of Kohanim in the Kotel, but you don't need to wait. You can go every day to Birkat Kohanim, and in Birkat Kohanim, the Kohen is blessing for peace, and the rabbis say that's the top time to pray to nullify any bad dreams. And there's again a certain prayer that ends as the whole Keilah is saying Amen to the Kohanim. They're saying also Amen to your nullification of the bad dream. We talked about number 4, Ta'anit Chalom. It's very important to go to someone to, number 5, to interpret it positively. Number 6 is obviously to give charity and to give tzedakah. If a person sees certain things in certain dreams, it's good to give charity, and obviously to check the tefillin, mezuzot, and to strengthen the faith, obviously, in the Torah. Rabotai, there was a big rabbi called Rabbi Gifter, and he lived 1915 to 2001. He's Rosh Yeshiva of Telz in Cleveland, and he was once on a journey. He needed to go from Cleveland to Baltimore. He's traveling by plane from Cleveland to Baltimore via Pittsburgh for a wedding. He's on his way, and there was a big snowstorm. And the connecting flight was late, so he needed to pray. He decided he's going to pray mincha, and he needed a minyan. And he had people around that were Jewish, he had obviously students that were with him. And he finds the minyan, and he asked the caretaker, one of the guys over there, do you have a room there where we can pray? It's before the prayer rooms existed. And he goes, the caretaker's full of keys, sure, Rabbi, no problem. And he's amazed, he said, Rabbi, do you mind if I join you? I'm also Jewish. So he said, okay, no problem. So he comes in, he opens in the door. There he is, they're praying mincha. And he finishes the prayer, and at the end of the prayer, everybody's looking around. Have we finished? Yes, we finished. And suddenly this caretaker, who was wearing one of these, actually, I think it was the rabbi's, even kippah, was wearing his hat, gave him a kippah, and he said to him, he starts saying Kaddish. Itkadash, Itkadash. He starts saying Kaddish. Fine. He finishes the Kaddish. And the rabbi walks up to him and he says, what's your story? It's amazing. Thank you for helping with the minyan. He said to him, Rabbi, I thank you. And this is a true story. It happened about 20 odd years ago. And the rabbi says to him, and he says to the rabbi, he says, listen, last night, my father came to me in a dream. And he said to me, son, you never say Kaddish for me. Same idea, you never saying Kaddish. And he said, Dad, what do you want me to do? I'm here, there's no synagogue, there's nothing. He said, tomorrow I'm sending you a minyan. Then the rabbi delayed the flight, this and the other. The rabbi's there and he's saying Kaddish for his late father. Tonight, we've opened the door to an understanding of dreams. That yes, you've got the people that are against the dreams and it can mean nothing, and there is the ability, there's so much going on, that it could be that during the day you have so much action that at the night you're just blurting it out. But there definitely could be Shavya Daber, like the Gemara says. There's an option that dreams do not mean. But there are other options where dreams are clearly mentioned throughout the whole Torah, where dreams are clearly mentioned in the codified law, where dreams can have repercussions. And the way that we establish it, we've learnt, whether it was in the morning, whether the person's a truthful person, whether it's a recurring dream, whether it's of a friend, etc. There are ways in which dreams can be. We've learnt tonight that we should always go, if we want to interpret it, to somebody that will interpret it good. We've learnt tonight that if there is a bad dream, there are ways out. We've learnt tonight that our soul goes up every single night. Tonight it's going to go up and it's going to connect to the higher worlds. We've learnt that the real me is not just the goof, it's not just the body, there is that soul, and that's everlasting. And this is the idea of dreams, and this is just an opening that I wanted to share with you. And I think that Bezrat Hashem, and I wish everybody sweet dreams tonight.